Ever since I can remember, I was building model rockets and model airplanes, and I was interested in aerospace. But it really was the moon landing that kind of started the dream for me.
The Eagle has landed. Roger, 20.
You know, we were watching and listening in to the radio calls as the Eagle approached the surface of the moon, and then the moment we heard the call that it had touched down, it was just, you know, really an incredible moment. And even as an 8-year-old kid, I knew the world had changed, and I wanted to be a part of it.
If you've never launched before, which obviously I hadn't before my first time, there's a lot of anticipation, a lot of excitement. You know, you've talked with other people about what it's like, but you haven't done it yourself. And when you feel the forces, feel the vibrations, realize how much energy is involved in doing this, it's really impressive.
You know, you go from 0 to 17,500 miles an hour in 8.5 minutes. So there's a lot of acceleration, and it, boom, as soon as the solid's light, you go. And you know, it's not like any, oh, did we leave? You know, maybe we didn't. You know you're going somewhere really fast. You know, there's no way we're stopping this thing. It's just going to take us wherever it wants to take us. So I hope it knows where it's going, because I don't think there's anything we can do to change its mind at this point.
And the most memorable moment, I think, was getting up into space the first time, because it was the realization of a boyhood dream, and just looking back at the Earth out of the overhead windows and seeing the Earth limb, the horizon, looking at the sunlight passing through the air and fluorescing, actually glowing different shades of blue, and the bright colors of the Earth. That was probably one of the most memorable moments of being on the shuttle.
Yeah, being in space is, it's really a treat. You're in a place where the rules are different. Things look differently, they smell differently, they act differently.
And so I remember in the movie Apollo 13, they took off their helmets and they floated in front of them and took off so that's what I did. I took off my helmet and I floated in front of me, and it stood right there. I took off my glove and I floated in front of me. Then it quickly started floating away from me, so I had to grab it.
It's like a camping trip. You have sleeping bags like are over there on that wall that you sleep in. You have very limited supplies, so you have to work with what you've got. So it's really like that. Of course, a very busy and a very complicated camping trip, but that's the feel of living in the space shuttle.
You know, one of the most magical times aboard Space Shuttle, one of my best memories, was during my third shuttle mission on Discovery, when we were helping to build the International Space Station. There was a period of time when I was on a spacewalk, and I had my boots attached to the footplate that was attached to the robotic arm, and I was being maneuvered from one location of the ISS to the other. And there were several minutes in there during the transition where I could not see the shuttle or the space station in my peripheral vision. All I had was a face full of the Earth, and I felt like I was a satellite flying over the surface of the Earth, watching the clouds slip by the continents.
And a great moment was one day when I looked out the window of the space station and could see the shuttle coming to get me, way off as a bright point of light in the distance, drawing slowly closer and closer, and finally docking with the space station to take me home. That was my ride home.
Everybody thinks about the launch, but for me the landing was really amazing because we spent so much time coming back through the atmosphere, and just looking out the window just a few feet away, you could see this plasma, this few thousand-degree gas that doesn't even exist on Earth, that we have to fly through to come back.
I remember after my first flight, we got out of the Space Shuttle Atlantis and got into the crew vehicle. And I wasn't even out of my suit yet, and I walked over to the window and I stood there and just looked back at the orbiter and thought, I just can't believe what that vehicle just did, you know, what it allowed us to do.
I saw my wife and my kids, and then you drive home, and all my neighbors are waiting for me outside the house. They knew I was coming, and they had the house decorated, and it's just, you know, it's strange because it's a couple hours before that you're up there, you know, orbiting around the Earth in this very different environment, and then you're sitting in front of the house. And then, you know, as I'm walking into the house, I look up on the roof and I see there's a couple shingles missing, and I'm what's going on there? And I notice the lawn needs to be mowed, and you know, the pool's dirty, and you're back on Earth for sure. You know, like, geez, I really am home now.
Yeah, the space shuttle program ending, it's probably a natural thing. It was going to happen eventually. I kind of wish the space shuttle was still flying. I would have liked a chance maybe to fly it again, but that's never going to happen.
You know, emotionally, I feel very attached to the shuttle. I grew up in the shuttle era. My first flights were on shuttles. And, you know, we don't have a vehicle on the drawing board or anyone in the past that has anything near the capabilities of the shuttle. Boy, it's, you know, it's the end of an era.